So a couple weeks back, I hit 15,000 subscribers, which is almost as many people are in the city that I live in. Crazy to think about. But anyway, I asked you guys for some questions for an AMA, and you guys gave me an enormous number of questions. It took me like 30 minutes just to copy and paste all those questions into a document, another 30 questions to whittle it down to this list, and this is still a really long list. If I didn't answer your question, it's nothing personal. I just got a lot of questions, and I just had to start making choices in there. So there's no particular rhyme or reason to which ones I picked. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started and answer as many of you guys' questions as is possible. Magic the Greatening asks, what made you decide to start a channel? I've always loved to talk movies and TV. That's what I talk about with my friends. My buddies are into movies and TV. The same guys I grew up with, or the same guys I still go to the movies with now and still want to talk movies with. So that's just always what we've been into. We have made movies, we shot our own movies, all that fun stuff. I've always been the guy that was in the comment section on Collider.com, on YouTube channels. I was the person that was debating, putting my own rankings up. I was you guys. That's what I was doing. And I have a long history of public speaking. And so when I finally had a little bit of free time, I decided I like to talk movies. Why don't I go from being in the chat board to launching the discussion myself? And that's basically where it came from. I just had the free time to make it happen. If you check out my channel, the oldest videos, I tried to start this channel multiple times before, going back 5 years. I did like Star Trek Into Darkness, and it's like me at my kitchen table talking totally different. Or actually, Star Trek Into Darkness, I believe, was in my old office where I used to work at. Just using the camera on my computer, nothing fancy at all. So I tried to start the channel. Life was just too busy. It didn't stick, and tried to start it again, and then life slowed down a little bit, and it stuck. So basically, this is just what I've always done and wanted to kind of take it to that next level. Since I was already on YouTube talking movies with people, I was already on the blogs in the comment section. Hey, why not put my face out there and share my actual ideas and try and grow an audience? And you wonderful people have made that happen. Thank you guys so much. You like the dream has already kind of come true for me to be able to have my own chat board and talk with all you guys down in the comment section. It's amazing. He also asked, does your family watch your videos? Yeah, my mom at work, she watches them. It's like whenever I show up at her office, her coworkers are like, hey, I was watching your take. And it's kind of awkward whenever I stop by because they want to talk to me about it. And my sister watches, my sister comments too on a lot of my videos. My sister's right there in the comment section. She will probably watch this video and eventually leave a comment on it whenever she's able to catch up on it. But she watches almost all my videos, and my mom does too. My wife watches the ones that interest her, since I make a lot of content and, she's got kids, a job, and all that fun stuff. She doesn't watch all of them, but she watches the ones that she actually cares about my thoughts on things. So, yeah, some of my family watches them, and sometimes my in-laws will be like, oh, I watched this video that you did. So short answer, yeah, my family watches my videos. He also asks, what's your favorite video game of all time? I'll go with 3. Warcraft 2, 20 years ago, Warcraft 2, or over 20 years ago. Warcraft 2 came out like when I was in the 8th grade, and I played that game so much. I was actually good at it too. Then I'll go with generic Call of Duty. If I had to pick one, maybe the first Modern Warfare. I just played that game so much when Modern Warfare came out. My mind was blown at the level of graphics. And I played a bunch of, I've had, 5 of the other games in the series as well, maybe even more than that. Third one would be Batman Arkham Knight. That's a cool game. That's a very cool game. What's your favorite movie score of all time? I don't really like to pick favorites, which is kind of funny because I rank things, so people assume that I'm like really big into picking favorites and which one's on top. I'm not really like that at all. I don't like to pick favorites. That's even why my rankings kind of shift a little bit, because my thinking changes day to day as to what I think about things. But John Williams, I would say, is the best of all time without question. Below him, I'd say James Horner. But picking favorites, like how do you pick between John Williams has something like 10 perfect scores, just 10 iconic, amazing scores. How do you pick one from the best? I wouldn't even try. Same with James Horner's got like 5 scores that are just perfect. They are phenomenal, amazing scores. Hans Zimmer has some amazing ones. I don't even know. There's all of the obvious John Williams ones, Back to the Future from Alan Silvestri, James Horner's work with Star Trek 2 is just phenomenal, and so many other movies too. So there's a lot of great ones. I couldn't pick a favorite. Kevin Villa asks, when did you get into movies and how old are RY is what it says on my notes right there. He's probably meant to say, how old are you? So I'm 36. I was born in 1981, so I'm old. It's been married over 10 years. Got 2 kids and another one on the way. So I'm 36. And when did I get into movies? I mean, I've always been into movies. Grew up in a family that we watched movies and recorded movies onto VHS tapes. And my mom, kind of weird about how she did things and liked to do numbered systems. And so we had like over 100 VHS tapes with movies on them would be recorded off TV. So each tape would have like 2 or 3 movies on it, and we had a whole list of movies. So 300 movies on over 100 tapes off of TV. And I just remember watching movies like that all the time. First movie I remember going to in the theater was, I believe, Star Trek V. A very distinct memory. We were doing a road trip. We were in New Mexico, and there was a theater that if they didn't get 20 people to buy a ticket, they wouldn't show the movie. So we were in the theater just waiting for people to come in to get to that 20. And so, I was 7 years old at the time. That same summer, I saw Batman 1989, and that was just so important to my childhood. And so I just always been into movies. And, I remember watching Top Gun and Star Trek 4 with my family back in the 80s, just sitting there in recliners and everything. And a lot of my early memories are kind of like that, of watching movies. And I just always enjoyed storytelling, and movies are a very contained format for telling stories that you can sit down and in one sitting see a whole story. And so it's a format I've always resonated with quite a bit. And so it's just always been there. There was no kind of turning point. It's just always been kind of a part of my life. Vincent Costello says, this might be a weird question, but have you made any money off YouTube? Yeah, I've made money off YouTube. You can monetize like the ads that play on there. YouTube does a partner share program with you, so you can get some ads revenue out of that. There's all sorts of little things that I do where I can make money off of YouTube. And so, yeah, I've made some money off of it. And most of that in the last 3 or 4 months, it takes a little while to kind of get the ball rolling on some of that to, kind of have an audience. And so, but as of recently, this is a second job to me. This is legitimately a source of revenue for my family that shifts some of the decisions we make and things like that, because I make enough money that it actually kind of moves the needle a little bit. Not enough that I could go full time or anything like that, but it moves the needle. It's actually something that, if I told you how much I made, you wouldn't like laugh at me like, no, that's a hobby, Sean, which it was when I first started. It was a hobby. And then eventually you wonderful people started watching more frequently, and a lot of more people subscribed. And so then it's become more than that. And I thank all of you that I can say, yes, that I've made money on YouTube. Thomas Gladstone says, do you watch Collider Video's movie trivia shmoedown? If so, would you ever want to go on it? Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while just because the channel's kind of eaten up enough of my time, but I've probably seen 20, 30 episodes of the movie trivia shmoedown. I have the app. They have an app for movie trivia shmoedown. I have it when I'm in my free time. Sometimes if I just want to do movie trivia, I'll go kind of through their movie trivia app. So absolutely, I have watched it. And as well, if would I ever compete on it, if they ever invited me, I would give them a yes. I would find a way to make that work. Even now, if I had to take a week off of vacation to fly out to California, I would absolutely do that. I love that kind of thing. If you check out in my playlist, I've got a thing called Masters of Movie Trivia. I made my own movie trivia kind of competition, and I wanted to compete in it. That's why I created it. So I love things like that. My buddies and I like, actually, a bunch of my buddies actually go to kind of, bars and stuff when they do movie trivia type things and they win. I've never actually gone with them, but I'm good at it too. And they're better than me because my friends are smarter than me. But yeah, absolutely. I would be interested in doing something like that. And I enjoy that kind of thing. And I tend to be pretty good at it. Austin Hammacks says, would you ever quit your job in the future to do YouTube full time? Yeah, if I was making as much money on YouTube plus enough or could work out the insurance thing, absolutely I would. And, right now this is what I do in my free time, but there's all sorts of other things I would love to do, be able to expand what I would do. And I would do, I do like probably 4 days a week, a movie news kind of quick form show, probably inspired by like Philip DeFranco, except for like movie news, something in that ballpark if I went full time. And I mean, I'll just tell you right now, like that's something that's very much on my mind because the last 3 months, because of You Wonderful People, that's something that's actually on my mind. Like I'm thinking about what would that take? What do I need to get there? And so I've kind of mapped a few things out, had some benchmarks of, hey, if something like this happens, if this happens, then I could possibly transition. And so that's very much on my mind, something that I would consider doing. And I'm trying, like this year, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm trying to read at least one book per week, but I've been averaging 2 or 3 per week. And by reading, I mean audiobooks because I drive a truck for a living. And so I'm able to go through them a lot. And also my free time, I do carry books around with me. And that's directly related to, I would love to be able to do this full time. Actually, I haven't mentioned this on my channel, but I announced this on my Twitter page and on my Facebook page that I actually have, this goes back to a question I was asked a little bit before about making money. It looks like I'll probably make enough money this year that I actually I started a small business related to YouTube and some of my writing and speaking stuff that I do because I would probably make enough money this year to warrant creating business. So I now have an LLC for Sean Chandler talks about called Chandler Creative Solutions. And so I'm now a visionary founder and CEO, if you're wondering what title to give me. But it's not something I actually did. And this all goes back to why am I reading so much? Why would I do something like that? I'm thinking long-term that I would love for this to be able to go full-time. And I want to start making that happen, working towards that. So yeah, absolutely. Amauri Poyntz asks, what's an average day like for you? So I wake up at 6 a.m. and open up my computer, check how many comments I got overnight, see if there's anything I can respond to really quickly. Look at, I kind of track day to day. I'm into metrics and things like that. So I kind of set my benchmark. Where am I at? How many views, subscribers, all that. So I check all that stuff right when I wake up. And from there, shower, put my contacts in, go to work. I start work at 7 a.m. I work at a job. A bunch of people ask me, what do I do for a living? What do I do for a living? I work for a paint company delivering paint. I drive a 16-foot box truck, loaded up with paint throughout the day, drive out to construction sites, drive out to new homes, drive out to apartment complexes, and then unload the paint wherever I'm going. And so that throughout the day, I can actually kind of check my phone a little bit because there's kind of a rhythm to it. You start, stop. And after you've moved a bunch of paint, I'll sit down and relax for a little bit because I'm in Texas, going outside and lifting a bunch of paint, 1,000 gallons of paint, 1,000 pounds of paint, 2,000 pounds of paint. You want to sit down, and that's part of the job. You're supposed to do that. So I'll just kind of check my phone, check some comments and things like that. And then I get off work at 3. And so I'll hang out with my kids for a little bit, might run upstairs and shoot a video like this one. I got off work late today. Otherwise I would have shot this video actually 2 hours ago. Then I took my kids today to, Taekwondo class. My kids are in Taekwondo right now. I always wanted to do Taekwondo, so now they get to do the thing that I always wanted to do. Take them to Taekwondo class, come home, work on a video. I'll have a list of movies that I'm trying to watch to make ranking videos in the future. So whether that's watching like Despicable Me to do Despicable Me 1, watch that with my kids. Once they go to bed, we'll put something else on that's setting up a future ranking video so I can be educated for those things, all while I'm editing videos and things like that. And that's what my days look like. It's wake up, check comments for the channel, check comments when I have little free moments at work, get off work, and then shoot video and take my kids kind of hang out with them. Once they go to bed, edit video all night. That is my life right now. Michael Ramos says, does your truck have a name? Referring to my work truck? Nope, I don't have a work name for it. Or don't have a name for my work truck. I don't name vehicles like that. Rashid Arabath1 asks, how long does it take you to record a video? Like my ranking videos, a 10-minute ranking video, that's kind of where I do them real quick and I talk through the movies, talk through like 10 movies, 20 movies in 10 minutes. That'll take me over an hour to shoot. Just because of the nature of trying to say everything articulately and in the amount of time that I want to say it, it'll take me a long time. But shooting a ranking video that's 30 minutes long, that only takes me about 35 minutes to shoot because I shoot it in one take. The nature of how you have to say things and how articulately and can I pause to think and all that fun stuff, it changes it because I can talk long form, but get it nice and concise for the ranking videos I do in under so many minutes. Those ones take quite a bit longer. Same with reviews, tend to be a little bit longer just because I'm trying to say something nice and smooth, articulate, clear. And that is a little bit more difficult. Kevin Young, this is a guy I lived with back over 10 years ago. Before I was married, I lived in downtown Austin with 3 guys that were going to the University of Texas. He asks, what was your favorite bad movie we watched in the apartment in Austin? So every Friday night at this apartment I had with 3 other guys, we would watch bad movies, and we would normally watch movies with Ron Perlman in them because he's in a bunch of great movies and Ron Perlman's in a bunch of terrible movies, and we watch a little bit of both. And so we just watched horrible, horrible movies with Ron Perlman. But what's the best bad movie we watched? We watched Battlefield Earth. And that was one. And so him and Kevin Young, the guy that asked the question, we actually had this whole joke about, we still to this day will say things like joking about, you know, I was able to do that in just 9 minutes, because in the plot of the movie, the human race is conquered in just 9 minutes. And then it's like 2,000 years passed, and it's all exaggerated language because things happen, gigantic things happen really fast. And so then Kevin Young and I was to this day will joke. So Battlefield Earth would have to be the one that I go with. And then the other one would be Absalom, which is Salon, I think. Absalom. It's a movie I haven't rewatched since I was in that apartment. It's a terrible movie, like direct-to-video, or it's like Ron Perlman movie, sci-fi weirdness type thing. But they're like, it opens with this Ron Perlman monologue where he talks about death's sweet ether. And at that same time, me and a bunch of group guys formed a band for a couple of weeks where we recorded a few hardcore punk songs where I was the lead screamer for the band. And it was called Saint Joy, which is Ron Perlman's character's name in this movie. And then we had a song called Sweet Ether of Death where I screamed very loudly, "Sweet Ether of Death." Inspired by that song. Jay Vaders asks, if you had the DeLorean for a day, where would you travel? Obviously to Dallas, Texas, November 22nd, back in the early 60s, to see who was on that grassy knoll that shot JFK. You know, that's a good question. It's tough because if you only can go to one place, what do you do? And I just want to watch. I wouldn't want to change anything because that's that whole butterfly effect. I don't want to mess up what has happened. Man, it's just so tough. Where would I want to go? It's one of those ones I'd probably do just kind of the montage. Like I would real quickly go like, what was it really like to be in? And then I'd go back to, the Wild Wild West to someplace, or I'd go to, New York City in 1850. It's just something like that, just to like see it and experience, just like get the vibe for what it was like. But I don't necessarily have a thing that I'd want to see. There's some of the ones where like I'd love to be just be the fly on the wall in some of these meetings where supposedly Steve Jobs was insane at Apple and things like that. I would love to, what was that really like? What was he really screaming in these meetings? Or on the set of, one of these classic movies where Stanley Kubrick's being crazy or something, or George Lucas on the set of the original Star Wars. What is the magic of that? Or watching him write things. Those are some of the ones that I'd like to know what really happened. I think that's what would happen. As with I'm sorry, I'm botching your name here. He asks, this real question that he asked, do you have biceps? Well, first off, in order for your arm to be able to do this, you have to have biceps. So right off the bat, yes, I do. But as for what they look like, you can decide if I have biceps or not. I will just give you the evidence for what is there. I do not want to try and traps, but I can do this, so I do have biceps. Michael Ramos says, have you played Battlefront 2 online yet? If so, how are you finding it? So I got Battlefront 2 for Christmas. I haven't played it online yet. I haven't played much at all, just because I've been so busy. Life is, especially with the channel, so crazy. I just haven't done much at all besides YouTube as of recently. Sammy Plays One asks, what villain or villains would you want to be in SpiderMan Homecoming's sequel? I don't know. I don't know. And like the default one I kind of go back to would be kind of Green Goblin, setting some of those pieces up. But we got him in Amazing Spider-Man 2 that just kind of messes it up because we did just get him 5 years ago. And I'd love to get that Osborn family in there. So maybe the way I would say it, the one that I would like to see really is the Osborn family come in some sort of adversarial role. We're not necessarily even Green Goblin has to get into it, but that Lex Luthor-y type of Osborn evil corporation stuff's going on behind the scenes. That's the thing I'm most interested in seeing. The specific guy in a suit or specific guy that has stuff happen to him, I'm not as strongly opinionated on that one. Technodrome 406 Show asks, if you could be any member of the Avengers, X-Men, or Justice League, which one would you be? Superman, flying, super strength, vision, X-ray vision and heat vision, Superman. Mike Rick Rock Reviews is a buddy of mine. I left out his questions on the last go round of all this stuff, so I got a few from him. How about a quick ranking of the Dexter seasons? He kept asking me about this. So I would rank the Dexter seasons from best to worst. 4, Trinity Killer, great. 1, kicked off, great. 3, Jimmy Smits. Hey, you gotta like Jimmy Smits. 5, I never minded Lumen. 5 was okay. 2, always, it bothered me with, I didn't like that lady, and I did not like what they did to Doe, because that was a terrible, terrible choice. And then, pretty big drop. 7, just forgettable, but didn't make me mad. And I liked Ray Stevenson in it. And 6, weird, really bad. But then 8, the end is one of the worst endings I've ever seen to a TV show. Just dreadful. Just unbelievably awful. Mike Movie Reviews also asks, would you rather listen to headbanging metal all day or church music all day? I enjoy metal from time to time. I would absolutely go church music. Some of that's because I worked at a church, grew up in church. I know church music really well, and so I know the good stuff and I know the bad stuff. And so church music kind of is such a broad term that I know what the good stuff is. I know where to find what I want, and I can find headbanging church music. I know where to find all that stuff and know what the bands are, and I've done a ton of worship music throughout the years and in different bands I've been in and things like that. So I would absolutely go with church music over for a day, over headbanging music for a day. And I like metal music. There's a lot more. As for a whole full day of it, I would go church music easily. Would you consider giving Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. another chance? Yeah, if there's ever a window where I can actually sit and watch it, I'll try. It's just one of those shows I never got into. I never particularly cared for it much. And so I just didn't, I fell behind on it and didn't keep up with it. I watched 12 episodes, I think. And so then it kind of turns into, to catch up, to be able to start watching it, I have to do so much homework that I just never did it. Grant Peters asks, what was your most memorable movie moment while watching a movie in a theater? I don't know. I'm not, most, and these kind of strong words like that are really tricky for me to kind of come up with ones kind of like that. And a lot of times it's not, like when I first watched The Matrix, I have very distinct memories of watching The Matrix, but I didn't really fully grow to respect it until later on. So I don't know. I don't have ones like as special experiences. 2 come to mind. 3, they're all, 2 of them are from going to the Bob Bullock IMAX theater in Austin. The other one is a different thing. So I went to go see Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol at the Bob Bullock IMAX, actual true IMAX, enormous screen. And that scene on the tower is just phenomenal. It's incredible. And saw it in IMAX is the coolest thing I've ever seen in a theater. The other 2 are in 2012, I took my interns to go see The Dark Knight Rises at the Bob Bullock. And the next summer, I went to take my interns to go see Guardians of the Galaxy. Those are just great experiences. Real fun time to spend with my interns, watching movies that I love and just having cool experiences with them. So those are the ones that come to mind. Eli Schneider asks, what's your least favorite movie? A bunch of people ask this. A bunch of people ask me what's my least favorite movie. And I've answered it before on here. It's Alien 3. It's not the worst movie ever made. There's things about it that are well made. There's things about it that are poorly done. I don't care what cut of the movie you do. I hate that movie. I hate what they did in the first 10 minutes. I hate the way they chose to follow up the movie Aliens. Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time. The sense of victory, the journey they went on, and Alien 3 in the first 10 minutes kills all that, ruins all of it. It ruins a better movie. So for me, I don't view Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection as canon. They're like fan fiction to me that technically are in the canon. I just don't care. I hate them. And if I believe that they existed, they make Aliens a worse movie for me. So I don't want to do that. So they're just fan fiction that's not very good to me. Mini Waffle 2971 says, do you like Marvel or DC better? Marvel movies have been more consistent over the last 10 years, to say the least. So Marvel movies over the last 10 years, a lot better. In general, I think the DC characters are a lot better, or I like the DC characters a lot more. Abs Plays Games 1 asks, favorite Marvel movie, favorite DC movie, or do you play any video games? Favorite Marvel movie? I guess Avengers. Go Avengers. Favorite DC movie? Dark Knight or Superman 1 and 2? Superman 1 and 2 have a lot more nostalgia, lifelong strength to me. The Dark Knight's great. Batman Begins also. Dark Knight and Batman Begins, as well as Superman 1 and 2. Both of those, they kind of... I don't like to pick between the two of them. And so when I do my ranking videos, I'm really, it's kind of like a flip of a coin. I think that both of those ones, the 1 and 2, are both great in their own ways. And do you play video games? I play some video games. I'm not a big gamer just because I don't have enough time to be a big gamer. I play a lot of Wii, like Wii, Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers with my son. I play a lot of the Lego games, especially Lego Batman games, because of my son. And then when I have free time, it's Call of Duty and Battlefront right now, because those are the games that I've most recently gotten. I played a lot of the Arkham games, but I just can't game a lot because I just don't have the time. Insane Artifact01 says, DeLorean or TARDIS? DeLorean. I've never been a Doctor Who fan, so I'm going to go with the DeLorean because it's a pretty cool car, and yeah, I'm good. It's cool. What color, this is another common one. What color lightsaber would you prefer? I'm going to go with blue to match my eyes. So that's where we're going with that blue. So we're color coordinated. Favorite Blu-ray in your collection? I'll go with my Superman Blu-ray set. Those Superman movies, they just have enough nostalgia for me that I got to go with the Superman set. And there's like great special features. There's this documentary talking about the making of the original 4 Superman movies, and I love that documentary. It's very well made, very thorough, and just all the types of stuff that I want out of something like that, it's all in there. And because enough time had passed, they can get into the nitty gritty and the nastiness of Hollywood and all the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of it. So I would go with this set right here. And I had the DVD version of this, and I have the Blu-ray version of it, but that bad band pajama right there. Gustav Welvera, what's your favorite superhero? We'll go Superman, Batman. If you say that Batman's not a superhero because he doesn't have superpowers, we'll go Superman. If we can throw Batman in the mix, or just say because he's just so good at being a human, we'll go with Batman. They stand for different things. They're nice yin and yang type thing. They counter each other nice and goodlier. That's not a good word. Castle asks, has there ever been a movie you have ever wanted to make? If you had no financial limits, what would it be? I don't know. I thought about this a lot because I would want to write a screenplay at some point in time. I'm not good at pinpointing. Like there's a ton of things I could be happy writing, or if someone commissioned me to write something, or if my friend had a story I could write it. I think I could be very good at writing a script or being a part of the team that wrote a script. But I'm not a person that's very good at, of all the ideas out there, this is the one that I would want to do. There's a bunch of things I'd be excited about. I'd love to make an action movie. I'd love to make like a revenge action movie and get to star in it. I'd love to do, my Liam Neeson myself. Maybe a Batman movie. I've had some thoughts on what I would do with a Batman movie. There's a bunch of things like that, but I don't really have an answer. Pink Lars one says, do you like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Of course, even right here, I grew up watching this show right here. I saw all 3 of the original Terminator, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies in the theater when they first came out, like opening weekend, all 3 of them. I really enjoyed 2 of those movies, not one of them. And so, yeah, sure, absolutely. I like Ninja Turtles, and I enjoy getting my kids into them. Would you be down for a part 3? I think so. I think both of the 2 in this new series have been very disappointing, and for very different reasons, too, which is kind of interesting that the way they got it wrong, I think, was different. But I think they could get it right. It's like they've almost gotten it right, and they've been so far off at the same time. It's been a very, very weird way that they've botched this series with the ones. I'd be for it. Joan Hapapala, what are your favorite TV shows? Star Trek Next Generation, Batman the Animated Series, Seinfeld, The Office, Breaking Bad, The Shield. I love The Shield. I enjoyed the Arrow and the Flash at different times. Right now, I'm really enjoying This Is Us, is to go in a different direction. I gave up on it a couple weeks. I think I'm finally done with Law & Order SVU, but I've watched over 15 seasons of Law & Order SVU, but I'm done with it. They made me mad enough that I'm done with it. There's a lot of them. I'm sure I'm leaving out some really huge, important ones. Do you remember what was the game-changing film that made you love movies the way you do nowadays? There's not really one. There's nothing like that because I've always been into movies. I've always had friends that were into movies. We always sat around talking about movies. We always kind of made little videos ourselves. And so there wasn't any sort of game-changing one. I mean, Batman 1989 was probably pretty important as the first time I was into a thing that was my thing, that I wanted to collect all this stuff from it. I remember when Star Trek 6 came out, that was like the first movie, and Batman Returns, those are the first two that I kind of remember anticipating the leading up to their release. Christopher Nolan's Memento and Jon Favreau's Made came out in the year 2000, right as I was like becoming an adult person, realizing, oh, there's indie films, there's smaller movies. So I saw both of their first movies in the theater in their initial run. So these movies that made very little money, especially compared to what they do now. I saw both of their movies kind of on first run at the Art House Theater in Austin. That's my indie cred right there. I don't have indie cred now. I don't see all that stuff now. But as for Christopher Nolan and Jon Favreau, I did see kind of their indie cred stuff. So those were probably two pretty important ones for me. And because Marvel movies are so successful on my channel, the release of Iron Man was very important to my life. So starting the MCU. So we'll throw that one in there too. Ragnarok Attacks. Do you read comics? And if do, which ones do you read? I read graphic novels of kind of the iconic stories. I don't read like week-to-week comics. And so different times I've read different things. So like when they did a season of, after Smallville ended, they did a season or a set, or I think they ran comics afterwards. And so then it was Clark Kent as Superman, and he meets Batman. So the Clark Kent from Smallville meets Superman. So like I read kind of that whole section of the Smallville comic books. You know, they did a Buffy the Vampire season 8 graphic novel. I read that. All the iconic classic Batman ones. I of course read those. I've read a bunch of the iconic ones for, Superman as well. Watchmen. I've read like all the iconic graphic novel stuff. I just don't read the week to week type things as they're released in that fashion. I read the Ultimates that the Avengers is based off of, where they did kind of this side pocket universe type deal where the Nick Fury based on Samuel L. Jackson came from. I read all of those, years before the Avengers came out, or even before Iron Man came out. I'd read those. The Confused Pug asks, would you be a Jedi or Sith? Jedi. I always go positive. I go, when I play Warcraft 2 or any of those types of games, I always go with the humans. And when I talk good or bad guys, I go with the good guys. What's your Hogwarts house? My wife told me, I asked her this question as I was cutting through. She said I'm Slytherin. So that's what she told me. Sorry. Nebula, if you could go on vacation anywhere, where would it be? Several people actually asked this one. I'd go to Europe, I guess. Because you can go to a lot of different places. Europe, there's so much you can travel within that. I think that's the one that would be the most efficient. But I don't like to travel. I don't like to go on vacation. I tend to just like being home. Some of that's if I had enough vacation time to where I could still have my vacation at home and go on vacation elsewhere. And if I had the disposable income to go elsewhere, I'd probably be interested in it. But as of now, in a phase of life where I don't have a lot of time to do a bunch of different things, I'd rather just stay home and just recharge and get caught up on things if I was going to have vacation. All right, still got a lot of questions. I'm going to fly through these last ones. Pikachu Cat says, when you saw your first ever Marvel movie, what did you think? I mean, the first one I ever saw was Captain America 1990, I think. And I enjoyed it at the time. I mean, I knew it wasn't a great movie, but I enjoyed it well enough. I think that's the first one I would have seen. Yeah, that would have been it. Captain America 1990. I had, as I mentioned before, these VHS tapes off HBO and stuff like that. I had Captain America 1990 off HBO on a tape, and I watched it all the time. Have you read any of the comics before seeing first? Sure, tons of them. Tons of the comics. I've read them before they come out. Especially like with the Dark Knight ones where they were very clearly based off of different, based off of Batman Year One, The Long Halloween, Dark Victory. I had read a lot of those ones that whenever they listed what they were influencing them leading into those movies, I read all of them. And some of them I just read independently before that, like Batman Year One. Read that years and years and years ago. Likewise, I read The Dark Knight Returns years and years and years and years ago. So, when they said that that's what Batman v Superman was going to be based off of, I was like, oh yeah, I read that 15 years ago. Gamer Girl 1 says, do you like Disney animated movies? Of course, everyone does. They're reason that Disney's Disney. So of course I have. And do you ever plan to rank them? I actually did a video. It's one of my longer ranking ones where I did it with Rachel Wagner, one of my buddies. We ranked the Renaissance movies, from 89 to 99, all 10 of those movies. And whenever Wreck-It Ralph 2 comes out, I'll do a series of them. And I'll probably do a shorter version of that ranking. I'll rank some of the other airs, some things. I'll do a bunch of cool stuff whenever that comes out. But yes, absolutely. Rich reviews us. Have you seen any of the Ed Wood movies? Yeah, I've seen Plan 9 from Outer Space. And then I saw part of Take It All and Trade, which I walked out of it because it's not a movie. It's skin flick, and I was at a film festival, and they're like, we've got a long lost Ed Wood movie. Here, check out this movie. You're the second audience to ever see this ever. The first time was 40 years ago. You should be so privileged to watch this movie. And then they put it on, and it wasn't a movie. It's like a naked people movie. So I was like, oh, bye-bye. So two of them, that Ed Wood, classy guy, made great movies. Is there a TV series you would love to be a part of? Arrow would be a superhero. I'd love any superhero one where I could be a hero on it. I would love to do that. Night and Gaming ones. What's your favorite movie of 2018 so far? Black Panther and Game Night. I love MCU, so MCU movies are always way up here. And then, I don't know how it'll hold up on multiple. I don't know how either one of these hold up in multiple viewings for me, but Game Night was just such a pleasant surprise. I thought I was gonna like it. I wasn't one of these people that was like, "Oh, this looks like a crappy comedy." No, I thought I was gonna like it, and then my expectations were here, and it still exceeded my positive expectations. And I thought it was a very cool movie. It's the type of movie I'm sure I'll watch all the time with my wife once it's out on Blu-ray. Hercules, do you watch Breaking Bad? Present tense. I watched Breaking Bad. Like everyone else, I picked it up when it was on Netflix and then watched the last couple of seasons kind of as it was airing, and then watched the finale live. And it was a week after the Dexter finale. Dexter finale was horrible. By contrast, the Breaking Bad finale was just phenomenal. It was just incredible. It was very good anyway, but coming a week after Dexter being so bad, it was like, wow, this is how you do it right. But actually, I've been to Albuquerque several times, and while in Albuquerque, I decided to stop by Walter White's house. So I have a picture of myself at Walter White's house, just in the middle of the day. He's like, all right, buddy, snap my picture real quick. That was a ton of fun. Cammy Dick asks, where in the world would you like to travel? Already answered this one. Europe. I would just try to go as many places in Europe as I could. Okay, John Tay Linderdent. When you said it took you 1.5 years to reach 10,000 subscribers, I wonder how you kept motivated to make videos during the first months. It was just a hobby that I enjoyed doing. So I wasn't doing it to make money. I wasn't doing it to grow an audience. I wanted people to watch. I wanted more people to continue to watch. I was making active choices to get better and to grow my audience. But I was doing it because I wanted to do it. And I was proud of the work I was doing and that I was getting better. Also, it helps that with YouTube, you'll have these kind of random ones at every size that you're at, which is kind of just 10 times, 100 times your normal viewership. And so the second week I put out a video, I had the Star Trek ranking and it just got like 5,000 views. That's incredible. 6 weeks after that, I had reviewed Jean-Claude Van Johnson, the pilot for the Jean-Claude Van Damme series, got 5,000 views. This is incredible. And those little blips just made me go, wow, this is cool. I should keep doing this. But it was something I always wanted to do and enjoy watching movies and talking movies with you guys. So I didn't need the motivation of having a huge audience. I didn't need the motivation of money to keep doing it. It's just what I wanted to do. Now that I have a big audience, few hundred people, and that I make some money doing it, that's just awesome. Great English. It's just like kind of added things on top. And the idea that, hey, maybe a year from now, hey, maybe a year and a half now, maybe 2 years from now, this could be my full-time job. That's just kind of one of these dream come true type things. But I'm just doing what I want to do. And the fact that could become more and has become more, that's just, you're living the dream when you can make money doing things that you love. You're not going to work when your hobby becomes your actual job. And so that's what a lot of this has become for me. James Skinner asks, what's the most average movie you have ever watched? I don't know. There's just so many movies, especially, so I watched 107 new releases last year, and you just start to realize how many just mediocre movies come out. And I'm not one to, I'm pretty easy to please. So I'm not a harsh critic normally. Even, people are like, why did you hate Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 so much? I give it a positive review. When all the debates we're having, it's people that loved it and I didn't love it. And that's what we're debating. But I'm generally pretty easy on movies, but I just realized just how many movies kind of fall into this kind of, it's, B-, C+. It's good enough. I didn't hate it. There's nothing that made me mad, but I don't know when I'll rewatch it. There's just so many movies. So I couldn't even pick. Something like The Dark Tower just comes to mind. The Dark Tower is the one that's coming to mind where it was like, I mean, I didn't think this was awful. It just is. It's just kind of there. And there's some cool shots. There's some cool moments. I like the actors in it. There's some mythology that's kind of interesting. The actual movie is just kind of there. But there's so many movies like that. This was actually interesting. Caprion Gaming says, if there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which there is, there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Do you think it's going to be good or make up for Volume 2? So I'm assuming this person knows my take on it and shares my take on it, that number 2 is disappointing. Do I think number 3 will be good? I'm sure it'll be good. I would say 2 is good enough. Frustrating for me, but good enough. So I'm sure it will do that. Will I like it more than 2? Probably. There's a lot of things specific to what they did in number 2 with the family issues, daddy issues, orphans, the nature of the humor that was just very off-putting. Some of it's the way they told their story without it really having a clear single story running throughout it, but subplots all kind of converging at the end. There's several things about it that made me mad. I'm pretty sure the third one will be better. I'm optimistic. The first one gives me a ton of hope. The second one makes me go, ooh, was the first one luck, or did they just give him too much freedom on the second one? Did he just go in a bad direction? I don't know. There's a lot of potential for it to be better, though. Sarah AI says, if you could be one species from The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, what would it be? I'd go wizard. Nice, simple. I would be a wizard. That sounds cool. Magic powers, boo, magic wand, all that fun stuff. Kaiser Chief 1 says, what's your favorite animated series? Actually says, what's your favorite animated series? I suspect it's Batman the Animated Series. It's Batman the Animated Series. I was 11, 10 when it first debuted. I was the perfect age for it. Loved it. Didn't watch it for several years in there. It came out on DVD. I bought the box set, watched it again. I was like, loved it, fell back in love with it. And then had kids and show it to them. They love it. That's the one. And the music on it is just incredible. I mean, just amazing that's the music on a kid's TV show. Owen Buckner says, if you could turn any book or video game into a movie or TV show, which one would it be? I'd go with kind of the Arkham Knight, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, all that series. I would do that as a Netflix series. Maybe a Netflix series with a little bit more budget, but those 10 episode seasons of that type of world, I think Batman would do great on that setting. There we go. That's my answer to him. Really close now. Luke Pearson, what do you do for a living? I drive a paint truck. Mentioned that earlier. Yeah. Junior No Mercy says, do you watch anime? No. I've seen some anime. I watched Death Note after the movie came out. I watched like 20 episodes. I don't know how many. Over 10 episodes of Death Note. After that, I've seen Akira. I've seen a number of them, but I've seen Crying Freeman. But I don't watch anime. That's not like my thing. Harry Thomas Pictures says, what are your predictions for Star Wars Episode 9? I don't know. All bets are kind of off after what the Last Jedi and the kind of the direction they took everything and how subversive they're trying to go with things. I don't know. I really don't have any guesses. The safe bet with JJ kind of taking over is that Kylo Ren ends up getting redeemed and they take down the New Order. But I don't know. Gets so obvious. If I'm proposing that seems too obvious for them to do that. But The Force Awakens was too obvious for me to think that that's what they would have done for that one. So, and then Last Jedi was so different from what I was expecting. As for a plot, I don't have an idea, but some sort of redemption of Kylo Ren and toppling of the New Order, or First Order. Did I say New Order? First Order. Real Samus says, who were your biggest inspirations? If you're talking about this channel, John Campea, Philip DeFranco, I've watched Jeremy Jahns, I watched Chris Stuckman, watched Movie Talk, all the stuff that everybody watches, I watch it too. That's not true. I've never really been into Channel Awesome. That's never been mine, but Screen Junkies have had things I've really liked. But there's not like a single thing that I was like, I'm trying to do that. I've normally tried to not do that. Or, you know, if I would take influence, it would be something from Philip DeFranco, who doesn't talk about movies really. He's not a movie channel. And so then it's taking inspiration from outside of my niche, as opposed to, I want to be just like John Campea. I want to be just like Movie Talk. I can't compete with someone that's already established doing that. There's like, I wouldn't be distinctive. I would just be the copy. And so I much more would try and find a new angle on what I'm trying to do. And that's kind of why my channel, you know, my becoming kind of the ranking guy, somewhat where some of that came from is I tried to find the thing that other people weren't doing week to week, which was ranking every new franchise that comes out. So I started doing that last May is when I started doing that. And that's when my channel started to grow. That's when it really kind of found its sweet spot. And if anything, I'm narrowing the focus more and more towards that type of thing, those big franchises ranked. So, but it's not looking at anyone and coming up with that. Farman Sudoku says, who's a better director, Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve? I'd go Christopher Nolan. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. I'm kind of a fan of Denis Villeneuve. I haven't been nuts about any of his stuff. I've been nuts about most of Christopher Nolan's stuff, or at least respecting the ambition of what he was trying to do, even when they weren't as good. So I would absolutely go Christopher Nolan. All right, we're just about at the bottom. John Dial says, what is your all-time favorite and least favorite comedy? I don't have a least favorite comedy, I don't think. You know, there's just so many bad comedies that I could come up with. Even movies, in Ghostbusters, it's kind of like maybe Ghostbusters. TV show, probably The Office. First 4 seasons of The Office. I'm not good at picking favorites, even least favorites. I don't normally have those that come to mind. Sorry. Jacob Barber says, and this is the last one, if you could only pick one movie franchise series to watch for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? I think I got to go MCU because there's so many of them. And so then if you only get to watch it for the rest of your life, there's a lot of them. They're all fun. I enjoy all of them, even the ones that annoy me that are on the bottom of my ranking. They're still good. They're still watchable movies to me. They're still all very watchable to me. Some of them I think are great and wildly entertaining. So having, depending on when I get put on this island, 18 to even more than that movies to watch, that's a great thing. Great starting point. Anyway, there you go. Thank you guys for asking the question. This video is over 45 minutes long. I didn't mean to do that. I was thinking it'd be shorter, but I'm just so long-winded. I talk forever on everything. This is after I trimmed the list down. This is after I went, I don't want this to go on forever, and it's still 45 minutes long. So I do apologize for the length. I try to keep them short. You guys have so many questions, and I want to answer your questions. So there you guys have it. Oh yeah, and if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, ranking videos, but the key thing is I don't want to just talk about movies, I want to talk about movies with you. So join me down in the comment section. Let's have a lively discussion. I don't know what you'd be talking about lively in the discussion on this one because it's a Q&A. So if you have any follow-up stuff about anything I talked about, tell me down below. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for watching.